Hey everyone, and welcome to Sasquatch Theory. Today we rode the e-bike about 5 to 7 miles to get out here, and it was really muddy on the way out. As you guys can see, my coat, my GoPro, my pants are muddy as can be, but we made it out here nonetheless, and it's a really nice day. I just had to get out of the house today and go out in the woods to explore, but I'm not sure how much time I'm going to get after reading these emails. I was hoping to pick up some of my trail cameras from the past year, see what's on there, and I like to leave them out in the woods for a good amount of time to see what they get, but sometimes the batteries die and that's no good either. All right, everyone, before we begin the Bigfoot emails today, I will be reviewing the Pulsar Axion 2 thermal device, and as an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. The Pulsar Axion 2 fits perfectly in my hand, and it's very easy to stuff into one of your pockets, in your backpack, or in a small cubby. This device is perfect for when you go out camping, looking for wildlife, and of course, cryptid research. It is also perfect for home use as far as knowing who is on your property, what's outside in the woods, and if someone's hiding, you're going to be able to pick up their heat signature and know who is there. It also works extremely well for home inspections and seeing if you have any heat leaking from your windows, any cracks that need to be sealed up. I highly recommend this device, and as you guys have seen on my videos, I have been using this for quite a long time now, and I am extremely satisfied. All right, to turn it on, you hit this blue button, and the screen will load up in just a few seconds. It'll make a clicking sound as you turn it on, and the camera will calibrate itself. So let's have a quick look around us to see what we got. You can focus the thermal optics with this outer ring, and you just turn it counterclockwise or clockwise to get the perfect image. You can hit record by hitting the button closest to your face, which is this one right here. All right, let's have a good look around us. We are recording, and like I said, to get the perfect image, you want to dial in this little wheel. As you're looking through the optics, the thermal camera will calibrate itself to get the best quality video as possible. The thermal device is not ambidextrous, and as you can see, the strap is on the right side. And I'm left-handed, so I'm putting the thermal device up to my left eye because I'm left eye dominant. The battery does last several hours depending on how much you use it and what the temperature is. So I'm not going to give you guys an exact amount of time just because it depends. And I think the battery lasts a very long time. Sometimes the battery will last weeks just because I only use it 30 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and just whenever I need it. But if you used it nonstop, I would say it would last a few hours. Again, I'm not going to give you guys an exact time because it does depend on the temperature, but the battery does work very well. It seems to hold up in the cold weather, and I have 2 batteries, and I think I didn't need the extra battery. The camera does have different color palettes, and I like to use the ultramarine, and it seems to work very well. It also has a violet, a sepia, a white hot mode, black hot, a red hot, and a red monochrome. It also has a rainbow setting that looks very similar to the ultramarine setting, but like I said, guys, I think the ultramarine is the best setting, and it does have different brightness settings, so you can adjust it to your liking. The camera can use a 32 megabyte micro SD card, and you are able to take video and photo with this camera. If you want to learn more about the Pulsar Axion 2, you can go to the link in the description, or if you want to purchase the device, it will lead you to the Amazon page, and I highly recommend you guys pick one of these up if you're out in the outdoors doing cryptid research or camping in general. All right, guys, with all that being said, let's get into these Bigfoot emails. This first email is from Pennie Randolph. When I was a kid, probably 7 or 8 years old, it was around 1982 to 1984. My family and I were hunting and camping on Lone Cone Mountain in Colorado. I was playing hide and seek with my cousins. There were probably 10 or so of us kids about the same ages. It was my turn to seek, so I was looking for my cousins. I saw some bushes rustling, so I ran over to the bushes and pulled them apart, expecting to see one of my cousins. Nope, it was an orangutan-looking creature sitting there staring back at me. It was an orange-brown color with long hair, dark face, big brown eyes, crouched down, hiding there in the bushes. I yelled, "Got you!" When I pulled the bushes apart, I let out a gasp and just stared. The creature's eyes got really wide, and we just stood there face to face for about 30 seconds. I do remember he smelled really, really bad, like dirty pond water or a wet dog. I did not feel really scared, just more shocked. I finally backed away and let go of the bushes. That night I told my family what I had seen. They all just said it was a bear. I may have only been 7 or 8 years old, but that was definitely not a bear. The memory of it is still very vivid. All of the men had been hunting during the day and strung their deer kills up in the trees to avoid the bears getting them. These were strung up about 50 or 60 yards from our campsite. The next morning, all of the deer were gone. I would say there were probably about 6 deer carcasses. They processed the meat but wanted the heads for mounting. These were pretty far up in the trees with no lower hanging branches to allow easy access. My family was pretty puzzled as to how the bears could have gotten the carcasses with no sound or nothing to alert anyone in our campsite. We camped another few days there and kept hearing loud whoops and yells. There was some chatter about what the noises could be, but no one ever thought Bigfoot, or at least not that was said. For me, I never really understood what I had encountered until I was older and started becoming interested in Sasquatch. One day that memory popped in my head and I thought to myself, I came face to face with Bigfoot. Pennie Randolph. All right, so I replied to her email and she replied back with, "Good to hear back from you. I love your show. I have listened to every episode. Very interesting." I would say that he was an adult. I say he, but I really don't know if it was a male or female. It was crouched down behind the bushes. It was large, but given everything I know now, it could have been a female. It was not a young one. Its head and face were very large. I never one time ever believed that what I saw was a bear, not then and not now. As an adult, I became very interested in Sasquatch and happened to remember my encounter one day, and that is when it hit me. I was a little floored because I truly do believe that I came face to face with a Sasquatch. I will be honest and say I am not sure what I believe they really are. I, for a long time, believed that they were interdimensional, but I really don't know that now. I do believe that if they are flesh and blood, that they are migratory. So many animals that are native to the same areas that the Sasquatch are migratory. I live in Northeast Texas, and we have all kinds of animals that migrate through here. Lots of big cats. I have actually heard a panther scream before, and it was extremely chilling. I don't believe the Sasquatch are any different. I do believe that it is highly probable that they are using cave systems, waterways, and deep woods to travel or reside. I've been trying to get my boyfriend to go hunting with me, and he won't do it. I think he's afraid we will find one, or perhaps come across one of those big cats or wild hogs. You can just read it, and schedule is a little hectic. I mostly listen to you at work. Keep up the great work, and keep the content coming. Thank you so much, Pennie. All right, Pennie. Thank you very much for that encounter, and Colorado is a beautiful state to live in or just to visit. And whenever I encountered the small juvenile Sasquatch, he stepped out from behind the tree. Well, let me rephrase that. He was on all fours. He scurried up to this large oak tree and slowly hid behind it. And I was staring at him, and I thought to myself, all right, whatever this is gone now. Then all of a sudden the creature stepped out and he was looking around. And whenever he saw me, his eyes got really big, and he kind of puffed up his chest, like took a breath of air, and then shot down behind the tree. And then he was gone. I was looking to the right and left of the tree, and I never saw him run away, which is very unusual, and I still think about it every single day. It makes me think that they are interdimensional just because I never heard him take off. Once he shot down, he was gone, and it was kind of like this. There's some brush here, the tree's over here, and he's just like this. Whenever he looked over and saw me, his eyes got really big, and he shot down like that. Like he took a big breath of air and like that. And it kind of reminded me of a fish. Like whenever you spook a fish and it's just gone, that's kind of what it was like. Or Flash. Flash is extremely fast, and that's how this creature was. So if people wonder why haven't I seen a Sasquatch? It's because they pick up on your presence very quickly, and whenever they take off, you won't hear them, and you most likely won't see them. But yeah, the fact that they hung up around 6 deer and they were all gone in the morning, that does scream out Bigfoot. The Sasquatch will take deer from people's campsites, and I've heard it over and over again. So if you guys have ever had a deer missing, it could have been a Sasquatch. One year, my dad got a really nice 10-pointer, and we hung it up, and he had the deer, the mount, or the head of the deer hanging up in the garage. And when we went back the next morning, the deer head was gone. We went looking all over the woods for it and finally found it way down in the creek bottom. And it didn't have any bite marks on it. It's just like something carried off the buck head. And I never thought Sasquatch till years later after I had my encounters. And I actually told them that the other day. I was like, remember that buck you killed and it went missing? It's pretty unusual that we found it down at the creek and there were no bite marks on it. And I told them if it were coyotes, they would have tore it up a little bit. But I would say it was probably about almost half a mile away. And I'm actually surprised that we were able to find the deer. But yeah, Pennie, I really appreciate your email. I'm sorry it took me so long to read it. If I already read it, I apologize to everyone. It's been hard to archive these emails, but I finally found a format that works good for me. And I've been dating everything, putting things in yearly, monthly folders, and I'm a lot more organized now. Just whenever I started the channel at first, it was really hard to reply to everybody's comments and file everything, but I did save everything. So if anybody's worried that I haven't read their email, just know that I did log down your report. I did read it, and a lot of the people I did reply back to, but maybe I didn't read it off here on the channel. So just know I will get to your email, And like I said before, if someone calls by phone or wants to do a video interview, that takes priority. But I do apologize for that, and I'm just buckling down on these emails, trying to get them out of the way. But yeah, thank you so much, Pennie. You're an amazing person. I hope you and your boyfriend or husband now are doing good. And if you ever encounter anything else, feel free to reach back out to me. Or if you want to do a phone call interview, I would love to do that. So thank you very much, and God bless, my friend. All right, this next Bigfoot email is from MJ Jet. Hello, I will just be brief. In 1981 to 85, I got laid off in 1981 from Patty and Whitney Aircraft. I was always into hiking and had friends down south. Several friends are part Cherokee Indians. I visited these friends in the summer of 1980. They would make corn mash bourbon, which I would bring back up north, and I spent thousands, plus days and several miles in the woods where they were set up. The people that lived there know them well. I had an encounter within a week of being there, and one other from a further distance, but knew when they were around and moved similar to the native people, not always walking between the Cherokee Mountains and Blue Ridge Parkway. I am not very good at writing, but the first encounter, it was not only terrifying, it was an encounter at 5 a.m. and I was hearing rock clacking. I thought my friend was cleaning a coffee pot in the stream. 60 yards from me was a mother Bigfoot with, I swear, was 2 little babies. One was near the stream's edge and the other one was on the bank, and it was much more timid. I ran down to the water to surprise my friend. It came towards me with a groan and a grunt. I stood there for maybe 5 seconds in disbelief and in shock. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I then panicked. It was like getting kicked in the groin. Everything felt like it was pulled up inside my lower stomach. I was slipping and grabbing shrubs. I had a pistol, but that never came to mind. I had a knife. I just stuck it in, trying to get some grip. I'm guessing he stuck it into the ground as he fell, and he was trying to get up and pull himself up. It was at least 75 feet or more and a fairly steep incline. Everything still wet from the morning dew. The native friends had houses built into the banks. When I opened the door in a panic, it freaked them out, and they were sleeping. They thought I had asthma. I was breathing so heavy. I explained what had happened. And they laughed and said, "You met the hairy man." Several months and even years later, they showed my tracks as small as 7 to 8 inches to 18 plus and wider than my hand, at least 8 inches across. I am 6 feet tall, 250 pounds now. Back then, I was maybe 220 pounds. But having a knife, I cut through my fingernail and still have the line in my left index finger. The knife I used to help me from slipping from going back down the bank. The same embankment to the stream, and in a panic, sliced my finger, recovered the knife the following week. This was in April 1981. All right, this email is a little rough, so give me a break, guys. And I did read it before I came out here, but the beginning part of the story made sense. Just whenever I got to the middle part, it started to fall apart. With field glasses, we made out outlines, and then aftermath after animals were ambushed on trails in between 2 different ravines in the fall. The natives always gave offerings, and you know a bear? When eyeshine is over 8 inches apart. Nothing else has this. No owl, bits and pieces of a hole. Nothing else has eyeshine like this. No owl or anything else out there. In the Great Smoky Mountain area between Tennessee and North Carolina, it is vast. One of his cousins works, or did work, it's been years, for the park services, and warned to take a report but never bring up hairy man as the native peoples. And warned to take a report but never bring up hairy man as the native peoples. Call them. Your retirement depends on it. Bigfoot is just a misidentified bear. This is common practice. I brought it up a few times, but scorn and telling me I drank too much. Over 25 years have passed. I have been there in 2005. Being young, I learned a lot about the truth and government, 100% for sure. Covering this up as usual, the government are liars. Paul. MJ LETT. All right, thank you very much, Paul, for sharing this encounter. And yeah, I bet that was really cool to see a mother Bigfoot with her 2 little ones. And I'm sure that was frightening as well, just because you don't know how territorial a Sasquatch will be when presented with a human and having 2 little ones. I know bears will charge if you confront their little ones, and I assume it's no different for the Sasquatch. But maybe they were just curious. I'm glad you got out of there. And it sounds like you fell down the incline whenever you saw them and you used your knife to pick yourself back up. And yeah, that's kind of dangerous. I'm glad you didn't lose a finger there. And yeah, the Cherokee Indians definitely know about the hairy people and many other Native American tribes. I think they know a lot more than what they're telling us, and there has been natives that have opened up in the past to us. So I'm very grateful for them, and they were here before us, so surely they have more encounter stories than we do. But yeah, thank you so much for submitting your email to Sasquatch Theory. And if you have a Bigfoot email that you want to share with me, do not share it in the comments. Be sure to email me or hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, just because I don't always see the comments, guys. So be sure to email me. It's very important. That way I can log it down a lot better. If you put in the comments, it may get lost and I might not see it, or it may be a few months, possibly even a year until I see it. But that's just how it goes, guys. The channel's getting a lot bigger, so please be sure to email me. And check your spelling, guys. If you can't spell very good, just give me a call. Nobody has to know your name. You're not going to be live, and you get to talk with me about Bigfoot. What's better than that, guys? It's a lot easier than writing up a story, and I believe all you guys. There are obviously some stories that I posted on my channel that are questionable, but I would say it's only about 2 or 3. Yeah, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we have one more Bigfoot email before we end this video, so let's get into it. All right, this next email is from Joshua Pfister, and he is from Florida in the Ocala National Forest. I think that's how you say it, Ocala. I've heard there's a lot of Bigfoot reports there. Good afternoon. I would like to share my encounter with a Bigfoot here in Central Florida. Not looking for any type of fame, just wanting to get my story out and share my experience with others. I hope this brings awareness in my area and others like-minded can follow up with more research. Before my encounters as a kid, I was told not to stay out past dark in the woods. I wasn't told till later on in life when my mom mentioned her experience. Her and my aunt were 3-wheeling on the dirt roads when their bike stalled out. My mom got off the bike and was waiting for her aunt to get it back up and running. While waiting, she noticed off in the distance from them, standing in the road, 2 legs, all in black. At first, they thought it was a bear on its hind legs. They grew up in the forest, so they know and have seen panthers, black bears, you name it. It started to walk their way and get closer and closer. This freaked them out due to the fact that bears do not walk on their back legs that often or that long. It kept getting closer. They were terrified and did everything they can to get the 3-wheeler up and running. Once they got it going, they sped off in the opposite direction and went home. This had to occur about 40 years ago in the Ocala National Forest. My first experience occurred in 2011 Thanksgiving. We all went out to my aunt's house, whose house sits right on the border to the Ocala National Forest, out of Hog Valley, a small community of about 200 people and dirt roads. We all met up for Thanksgiving at my aunt's house around 1 p.m. for our dinner together. After eating, we all went off and did other things together, some inside, some in the car garage out back, and some played basketball. Later that day, around 5 p.m. or so, it was 30 minutes till dark out. Everyone else either left to go back home or went inside. As I was on the b-ball team that year, I stayed outside to continue shooting hoops. It was getting dark. It was dusk out. At this time, my ball hit the side of the basketball court and jet out to the forest, crossing the dirt road. I went to retrieve the ball like so many times before. When I got about 10 yards from the ball, a tree 15 yards away started shaking back and forth. about 4 foot, swinging towards and away from me. I stop in my tracks. The tree swayed for about 4 to 5 seconds. I slowly backed up while keeping my face towards the tree to see or make out what would cause such a thing. At the time, I believed in Bigfoot, but never thought in that moment it was a Bigfoot. It all happened too quick to think anything. I make my way back into the house within a 10-second time span. I pause inside, listening to everyone in the house talking, laughing, playing games. No one had any idea what I had just witnessed. I was inside for only a few seconds, gathered my courage, and slowly made my way back out to the tree. I walk up and grab the basketball. I can hear something in the woods. Sounds like someone walking. There are tons of leaves on the ground, so you can hear anything moving in the area. Eventually, the sound dissipated. I double-checked to see if anyone in my family was playing a prank on me, but everyone was inside. Sadly, I realized the opportunity I had at the moment where I could try to push the trees myself, as it was a fern tree about 20 feet tall, 5 feet across at the base. The next time I was out there, that tree had been cut down, so my experiment was not fulfilled. My other experience was more interesting. My friend was out in Hog Valley fishing off of Ocala. It's Oclawahha River. In the morning for a few hours, sometime after he was there fishing, he said he heard some twigs snapping from behind him, but thought nothing of it. Later on, he said he heard a deep huffing. It freaked him out so much he left all his things and bolted to the truck and left. He came to my house and told me later that day after I got off from work. He tried to replicate the noise, and he made a sound just like King Kong would make with the huffing noise, but no way near as deep or loud as what made the noise. I told him we were going back there and camping in that area tonight. We grabbed all our things and we went. This is 4 years after my first encounter. Knowing what we were getting into, we all had a handgun. I brought out the pump action shotgun with 12 gauge, 2 to 3/4 double buckshot rounds in case we run into a bear or unwelcome guest. We get to the river. William and we get out there around 8 p.m., so it's already dark. We start making dinner around 11 p.m., steaks that have been marinated. I go and sit by the river. It's a quiet night. The river gives off an echo to everything. I made a whistle earlier that day, and it went on for 5 seconds straight. As I am sitting there, I can hear something far off in the woods making its way close to us, and sounds like it's walking along the river. About an hour goes by and I can still hear there is this thing coming closer. Wood limbs that might be arms with snapping sounds. Pompons being pushed over. It's getting closer but farther away from the river. It's going up the bank towards the houses off the road. Soon after, I can hear dogs in the distance barking and going haywire. Within 15 minutes, I can hear this thing get back to the river and heading our way. Had to be within 100 yards. It's getting closer and closer. I try to figure out how deep it's in the forest from the river, and I try to put myself in the direction in front of it as we would cross paths. I go about 100 feet away from the campsite, which is a clearing of about 30-yard diameter circle, and we camped against the river with the forest at our front. I'm off on a trail in the woods, and I can hear this thing get closer and closer. I crouch down into a ball to make my presence unknown. I'm armed with my gun, knife, and a heavy-duty LED light. I sit and wait on this thing to either cross the road or confront me. It sounds like it's about 20 yards away in the forest. I can hear the pompons being pushed down, and as it moved, crunching limbs on the ground. Then it stops, all the movement and noise. I sit waiting in a crouched position for over 20 minutes with no noise. Then all of a sudden, 2 large thuds right in front of me. Sounds like it happened right in front of me, like a man jumping out of a tree or something, distinctly one after the other. It was so heavy I could feel it in my feet. The weight of this thing, my friend William yelled out and ran over to me. What the heck was that? The instant the noise happened, I turned on my flashlight and peered into the forest and saw nothing. I am mesmerized because this sound sounded so close it had to be right in front of me. He runs to my side and I tell him to fall back to camp. We backpedal running back to camp. As we got off the trail, we hear footsteps crossing the trail to our left. We have tons of woods and already a fire going along with us. We brought a hand crank leaf blower. As we were adding wood and cranking on the leaf blower to get the fire roaring, we hear not one, but now two different creatures moving on our right, both in different locations, while one is still on our left. We stack every last piece of wood on the fire and crank on the leaf blower. The stack of wood sits about 5 feet high and the flames were about 10 to 15 feet tall. The entire clearing is lit with some of the light piercing into the woods. We can still hear movement coming from the woods from 3 different locations just outside of our view. I grab my shotgun and aim it up and shoot into the air 3 times within 10 seconds. I almost lost my shoulder with the 3-inch buckshot. We stood on guard for the rest of the night, yet we heard nothing leave the area. We both eventually sleep in the truck with guns in hand in case anything were to occur during the night. It was something I can't get out of my mind, and I will never forget it. I hope this story helps your channel and you continue with your adventures. You can contact me for any follow-up questions if needed. Thanks, Joshua Pfister. All right, Joshua, thank you very much for sharing your Bigfoot experiences with me. And yeah, it sounds like whenever you were playing basketball, there was definitely something watching you. And I think we are their entertainment. When they hear people having fun, being loud, they'll come in close to watch us. And yeah, if you guys are ever out at a party surrounded by forest or a get together, be sure to look into the woods. And you might catch a glimpse of something watching you. A lot of times they'll slowly hide behind the trees, guys. So keep an eye out for something upright and black hiding. And yeah, I've heard them sway trees back and forth. And there's a ton of reports from Florida and the Ocala National Forest. And I've heard other YouTubers, other researchers talk about that same area. Yeah, you guys were pretty brave to go back to that spot to see what would happen. And actually, it was a pretty smart thing to do, just because if you want to experience Bigfoot activity, you want to get in on the action when it's occurring. And yeah, I believe your friend when he heard the huffing sound. I'd like to know more of what it sounded like. Whenever I heard it, it sounded like a big bull. In my last video, I talked about it, and everybody said, that's a whitetail blowing. Even after I told them I just had an eye-sighting encounter and I chased that creature and I could hear him huffing, everybody said it was a deer. Not everybody, but a few people did. Obviously, deer will blow when they're spooked, and what they're doing is they're blowing all that snot out of their nasal cavity so they can smell you better. But I'm telling you guys, what I heard was no deer. I have spooked deer since I was a little kid, and I've spooked thousands of deer in my life. I know what they sound like. This was like a giant caveman, just like sound like a bull, like something ginormous, and it was pretty high off the ground too. I know it was the creature that I saw because I just watched them walk into the woods, into some thick oak trees and cedars. But yeah, the fact that you guys could hear them walking around the river, that's typically what they do. They'll follow the waterways, and that's pretty cool that they came back. The dog's barking is definitely a good indicator that something's out in the woods. And yeah, I'm glad you guys didn't get hurt. And I don't know what you were expecting to do. I guess you were hiding, waiting for this thing to show up so you can turn on your flashlight and see what it was. You're pretty brave, man. And I'm glad you guys didn't get hurt. But yeah, you guys had the perfect recipe as far as a fire going. You guys cooked some steaks, and that also builds up their curiosity. If they're in the area, they're going to come around, guys, especially if they're active. And it does sound like they were active during that time frame. But yeah, when you shot off your gun, I'm sure it did freak them out. They probably didn't like it, but oh well. But yeah, thank you, Joshua, for sharing your encounter. I got to get back, clean up. I got to get back and clean up just because I'm filthy right now. On the way down here, the dirt roads were just wet as can be. It snowed here not too long ago, so everything's dirty. It sounds like a helicopter coming my way. It doesn't look like a military helicopter, but yeah, I'm still seeing those, by the way. I still see the stealth helicopters, the black ones, and I'm not sure if it's a Black Hawk, but they're definitely military helicopters. And yeah, it's strange that where people are having Bigfoot activity, they are also seeing these black helicopters. I know nobody mentioned it in their Bigfoot emails, but it just came to mind as this helicopter passed by. But I want people to think about this. If you've never experienced Bigfoot activity, never seen one, pay attention. If you're seeing a lot of military helicopters, go and look in the woods there. You might find something. And I think that's a good way to key in on Bigfoot activity, cryptid activity, or Skinwalker Ranch type activity. Is if you're seeing a lot of Black Hawk helicopters, you might want to get out there and see what's going on. But you never know. The woods is really big, and they can cover a lot of ground. And they do have, I don't know what it's called, like TRF or TFR routes. And they're basically training routes. They're like invisible highways in the sky, and whenever you get on an aerial map, you will see like this black line or a black dotted line, and that is where these Black Hawk helicopters will move through. Just keep an eye out, guys. But yeah, I appreciate everyone for listening to these Bigfoot emails. It's going to get dark here soon. The temperature is going to drop, so I'm going to pack up all my gear and head home. I appreciate all of you guys for listening. Thank you guys very much, and take care.